Gonzaga will take on Oklahoma in each team's second game of the season this Saturday. I'm Connor. He's Subi from Sleepers Media. Subi, this is an interesting game, I think, because both teams played really bad opponents in their first game of the season. I think particularly St. Francis is a team that teams should beat up on. But Oklahoma was able to put up 102 points behind a 57 point second half. Gonzaga was able to put up what was it 98 points in a 52 point second half. Gonzaga went deeper into their bench in their game than Oklahoma did in theirs. When you're looking at this matchup, you've got Oklahoma who returns Muhammad Wagi and that's about it. Dayton Forsythe, but he's deeper on the bench. Gonzaga returns their big two in the middle and then kind of fills in the space around them with newcomers. What's your biggest question right now heading into this matchup?
My biggest question is why have you not dubbed this the Ryan Spangler custody battle, the Ryan Spangler Bowl? That's the only one I can think of that shared or spent time in both locations, right? Isn't
Yep,
he from
yep.
Spokane? Isn't he or
No, he
from
no,
Washington?
he's from the Oklahoma area. He actually, and this is why I
That's
don't
right.
think Gonzaga fans don't really have like a huge sore spot with Ryan Spangler is because he transferred to go home. Like it was well documented that he was homesick and that's why he transferred back. Um, so Gonzaga fans happily gave up
Yeah.
custody of Ryan Spangler, but uh, but this
No,
will be, I believe, the first time they've played, if I'm not mistaken, since they played in the tournament during I think it was during the shutdown tournament, the
so
bubble
it was
tournament.
post Buddy Hield, right?
Yeah, it was post Healed. This is the one
Because
with
they went to
Brady
a Final
Manick.
Four.
This is Brady Manick's last year at Oklahoma.
Pre UNC Brady Manick, huh?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, these are some names. This is one of my favorite activities to do. Connor is just name drop big white guys. Brady Manick's not necessarily like a corner case guy, but Ryan Spangler, if you don't remember him, like he always reminded me of Don Billingsley for some reason from the movie Friday Night Lights. He just like had the forehead sweat, big body, gave 110% effort. But what I'm looking for
You know
in
who else
this,
was on that team? Austin
the
Reeves. I
Oklahoma,
completely forgot he was on that team.
not the Spangler team, right? Like the Manick team.
No, on the Manick team. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that guy, what a heat check.
yeah.
Goodness gracious. I saw something like someone was like, yes, Scotty Barnes is the best player in the draft class. And people were like, it's probably Austin Reeves, but I don't know if he counts because he went undrafted. Like,
He went
I think that,
undrafted. They were an 8 seed, I believe, in that tournament with Elijah Harkless, Austin Reeves, and Brady Manick on the team.
man, those were, I mean, and that's obviously, what's his name? Lon Kruger. But you know what? In terms of this game, Connor, I think what I'm really interested in, or what I'm the most interesting part, is that what you asked me before we went down
Yes.
this rabbit hole? All right. Yeah, I think it's for me, Steel Venters. I think that's gonna be the most interesting part or interesting player to monitor because it's well documented what he's been through the last few years, and it's so great to see him come back. I think he only played 6 minutes in that first game. Feel free to keep me honest there, but I'm curious to see
He
how
played he played 15.
he played 15.
He
Okay.
played 15, but I think part of it was that when they were going deeper into their rotations,
Oh,
they
he had
were
six
playing,
points.
yeah, they were playing for defense. So I mean, Steele played well defensively, but they just had other players out there. They didn't really need the offense, and he was 0 of 2 from three. So it wasn't like, I mean, his makes came near the basket on pretty good plays, although one was a me bound for a layup. But
I'm not terribly concerned about his level of play just
no.
yet, and I don't know like if he'll ever be able to capture what he was a couple of years ago. We'll see, but I am curious to see how he continues to ramp up and how he gets more comfortable in the game. This is going to be obviously a big time opponent, or a power opponent, I should say. And let's see how he responds for the first time in I don't know how long. So I'm very interested to see the Steel Venters progression, and that starts with Oklahoma. I think also the bigs. Connor, you mentioned obviously who you returned and what you filled around with, and then Oklahoma only bringing back Wagi. I don't know what the game plan is for Porter Moser in Norman, if I'm being brutally honest. And in this particular matchup, I don't think they have the dogs or the horses to combat what Gonzaga is going to throw at them, and the experience that they're able to throw at them, especially with Graham Ike. But like the roster construction for Oklahoma to me is a bit troubling. And we're in what year for Porter Moser now? Four?
Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right.
Like where are we with Porter Moser? Really, I'm all for being patient and giving established coaches, especially a Final Four coach, time to get it right. You kind of saw that in year 2 and year 3, and you saw this a bit of a progression. But I'm looking at this roster, and I don't think Oklahoma's any sort of threat. Certainly not in the SEC, but in the greater landscape. Am I wrong there?
No, I don't necessarily think. I mean, I think they have a lot of dudes. Like Nigel Pack will get you buckets. Xavier Brown was a pretty good playmaker in their game against St. Francis. You mentioned Wagi. He was probably their best player in that game. Um, but I agree with you. I just think it's just it's a weird fit to have all of them on the same roster, I think. And it's the Nigel Pack has never really contributed heavily to winning basketball, at least at like a high level. Neither has Xavier Brown, neither has Wagi, neither has Tay Davis, right? So like it's a lot of guys who were really good on mediocre at best teams, for high major standards, right? And so I I don't know what that's going to bode for the season. But I do think they provide some interesting matchups for Gonzaga. I guess Nigel Pack being the first, he's the first in a line of point guards that Gonzaga has to play this season. Um, or Brown. I mean, depending on who has the ball, but like Gonzaga has to play um, Oklahoma, obviously, who we're talking about, but then they also have to play LeBaron Philon. They have to
Yeah.
play Miles Rice. They have to play Kentucky's guards. They have to play Donovan Dent. They have to, assuming he's back, play Shellstad later in the year. So I think this is going to be, it's a first, it's a good first step, a good like teaser for a pretty solid line of guard play that they're going to be tested against in this non-conference.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been Jeremiah Fears, right, last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, that also just points to the roster construction, I guess, for Porter Moser, right? You lose Fears, you lose Duke Miles as well, who, I mean, Fierce was absolutely amazing. But you're right. I mean, this is a good little tune-up game, especially for the at the point guard position, because you are going to take those massive leaps. I mean, no disrespect to Nigel Pack, but he's, in my eyes, not in the same conversation as a Donovan Dent, as a LeBaron Philon, et cetera. So we will see how that challenge is taken by Gonzaga. I am curious to get your thoughts on this. Neither team really shot the ball from deep particularly well last game. Is that a cause for concern? I'm not drawing a ton from their first performances. They probably can get, both of those teams probably got whatever the hell they wanted and much higher percentage shots. But I don't know. I trust Gonzaga to convert on their threes a little bit more, especially in front of a home crowd. Uh, is that something that you thought about, just the 3-point production and such a small sample size in one game?
Well, it was a small sample size. I believe Gonzaga in their game started off, I think we mentioned this, like 1 of 12 or something from deep. They went 6 of 10 the rest of the way. Uh, Steel Venters, their best 3-point shooter, was 0 of 2. Um, so I don't think I'm taking a ton from it. Um, Especially when like they went 7 of tw 22, but when you take out the 3-point shots that were from the front court where like, yeah, you would like them to make it. Yeah, they should make them, but they also are like known to be streaky. Um, that's 7 of 18, and then it doesn't really look as bad. Um, I think what it is their primary guards in this game were Braden Smith and Emmanuel Innocenti, who are neither of them are like consistent 3-point shooters, so they went
Mhm.
2 of 7 between the two of them. But coming off the bench, they, Adam Miller went 3 of 5. Like that's a good sign. Steel Venters will get better. And they shot 81% from the stripe. Like I'm not looking at their shooting and going, oh, that's a huge cause for concern in game one when they started off so cold. Like it
Mhm.
was 10 minutes into the game and 7 players had missed a three. So I'm not taking it as a huge cause for concern. If it happens like they have a pretty tough stretch coming up, and if they're shooting 32% against Oklahoma, Creighton, Arizona State, then you start to get concerned. But I think in game one, especially when they
Yep.
shot so well in the second half, like the second, I guess, 3 quarters of that game, um, they're playing through their bigs. It, if they're
It makes
streaky,
sense.
as long as they're a threat from three, I think that's all that matters.
Yeah, no, and honestly, it was a bit of a stretch. I'll be honest with you, Connor. And I wanted to get your temperature as a fan. I don't really take a ton from these first games. And you mentioned Venters as the best shooter. That kind of dovetailed into my point at the top about how we see him progress. A lot of season, tons of season left. So I'm not terribly concerned about the shooting either. And again, I think being able to play through the bigs like Gonzaga is able to do, not just against inferior opponents, not even against a team like Oklahoma, who I think you are better than, right? When I say inferior, I mean, who did you guys get have the very first game? Texas Southern. Like, you guys can, I think Gonzaga's strength really can be their front court again with EK, his size, his experience, and being able to play off that. One name we haven't mentioned also just yet is Tyon Grant Foster. Obviously, we know what's been like the trials and tribulations the young man has went through relatively recently. But is there? I mean, he was solid in that first game. I think you kind of know what you're going to get from him and Ek, at least from a neutral perspective, Connor. So it's really about the others and so how they fill in those margins for me, at least.
Yeah, yeah, and I think my last point's going to be this. Right now, and I guess this will dovetail into our predictions. Right now the line I believe is set at 10.5 points for this game. I could be wrong. Let me just double check
I saw
that.
that as well. For whatever
Ten
it's
and a
worth,
half.
I saw
Okay.
that
So
also.
the line's at 10.5 points. Um, I choose to believe in, I could be wrong. I've believed this preseason. I've never necessarily thought this in season in a while. That this Gonzaga defense is for real. Um, it's not just because Steel Venters is great offensively, he can shoot, but like when you put Worley in there, it's just a different ball game, especially with like Braden Smith is a better defender than Ryan Nemhard. Um, Innocenti started because he's a good defender. The assistant coach will get the name on the score sheet, right? And they'll actually start Adam Miller in their next game. But I do think that when you have such a weird roster for Oklahoma, playing tough, like hard nosed, get in your face defense, the way Gonzaga was playing in their first game, can be tough, can force some turnovers. Um, Size isn't really an issue because Oklahoma's backcourt's kind of small too. Or at least Nigel Pack is small, and so Braden Smith's size isn't going to be an issue in this game. Um, so at 10.5 points, I kind of like Gonzaga to cover. Maybe not like initially, but I do think that as you get into the late parts of the game where maybe Oklahoma's taking more sh deep shots, trying to come back and missing, or Gonzaga's making free throws and then playing defense on the other end, I think they start to push it out. I'll take Gonzaga 85 Oklahoma 70.
Yeah. I'm in total agreement with you. I think it's slightly closer. I got the Zags winning by 13, but I also think that they're going to uh, cover. Look, the Zags are a straight up better team. And as a matter of fact, I think they're a bit undervalued at 21. This is not pandering because I'm chatting with you right now, Connor. I don't necessarily know if there are 20 better teams than Gonzaga. And again, like there's a lot of names, a lot of dudes that they have, and including Braden Huff, who has had some really, really impressive moments, sparks over the last year or so. Um, Excited to see how he performs. But I think this is a Zags team that is a bit undervalued. I don't really buy into Oklahoma. I don't necessarily buy into their roster construction. I think they're going to be a relatively mediocre team and a huge year for Porter Moser. So, and this is going to be a big time. Like, I think they're outclassed, really, here at Connor. So I like the experience. One thing I will give Oklahoma, though, they do a good job of not fouling. And they had 10 blocks last game. I think that could pose a challenge for Gonzaga just a little bit. But really, at the end of the day, this comes down to Zags having a better coach. I think they have better players, especially in the front court. And playing the game in Spokane is going to be an advantage as well. And I think they cover. I got Zags 90 to 77.
Well, that'll do it for us. Make sure you tune in after the game for our recap. I'm Connor. He's Subi, and we're still getting into the swing of things. We are not in midseason form yet, but we will be. Well, I'm not in midseason form. You are,
I'm
Subi,
not
as
either. No, I'm
always.
not. No, I'm not.
So tune in for all the previews and recaps that Sleeper's going to be putting out throughout the entire year.